Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Gokul Alex, founder of Epic Knowledge Society and the chief architect of Semiot Protocol and the chief scientist of Fusion Ledger. Today, it's my pleasure and privilege to uh, talk about TerrainNet, my submission for the Climathon from Climate Houston Initiative. It's a very exciting moment to present a proof of concept or related to climate change, climate conservation, and climate contingency proofs powered by privacy preserving cryptographic primitives. So TerrainNet is a solution to the convoluted problems related to elections, selections, voting processes that we follow related to climate change in global consortiums and agreements and protocols like Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreements, and altogether even in UNFCCC. Let me take you to the presentation. Hope you can see my screen. This is the landing page of TerrainNet. The TerrainNet, as you see, is the post-pandemic climate conservation system using quadratic voting verifiers powered by minimal anti-collusion infrastructure built with applied zero knowledge proof tools. So the inspiration for TerrainNet is that the current processes that we follow in UNFCCC, the United Nations entity task for supporting global response to threat of climate change, is very conventional and convoluted. The convention has nearly universal membership of 197 parties and is the parent treaty of the 2015 Paris Agreement. So the election and appointment of members in this convention, be it Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, it take place annually during the climate change conferences. So the regional groups and constituents nominate candidates to these bodies. It's really appalling to see that even now we follow kind of subjective process, nomination process for uh, a very future forward, very uh, deep impact problem like climate change. So even now we can see that we are plagued with the issues of gender imbalance and all those. You can visit the website of UNFCCC for the details. This process is highly arcane and archaic. It does not address the asymmetries in the contributions from climate change causing countries and concerns of the countries suffering from climate change in a reflective and responsive manner. Hence, we need an architectural and algorithmic change in the election and voting process. This is why I'm suggesting quadratic voting mechanism to address these asymmetries. So what is quadratic voting? Quadratic voting is based on the market principles, but beyond the immediate implementation of quadratic voting, what you have to understand is quadratic voting is a collective decision-making process where individuals allocate votes to express the degree of their preferences rather than just direction of the preferences. By doing so, quadratic voting helps enable users to address issues of voting, paradox, and majority rule. So quadratic voting has been a very promising paradigm proposed by Glenville and others as part of their radical markets the concept. So when you look at, let me show you the presentation, right? When you come back to the presentation, you can see that I'm trying to share the additional, yeah, let me take you through the presentation. Okay, so hope you can see my presentation. As you see in this presentation, TerrainNet is a climate change consensus algorithm. Climate change is an open problem without consensus from countries. It needs convergent and coherent action from countries. Current conventions are following convoluted elections and selections. This is why we need a new voting and verification method. Hence, we are proposing quadratic voting verifiers. Quadratic voting using Solidity smart contracts deployed on Ethereum blockchain protocol. Votes verifiable through privacy preserving proofs. So you can see the implementation of uh, the scheme. Let me share the, so you can see the implementation here. So I deployed it on my local, and you can see my GitHub repository. Let me take you to the, so you can visit the TerrainNet repository. This is the TerrainNet repository where you can find the quadratic voting decentralized app at quadratic voting verifier. So thank you so much for watching the quadratic voting. This is built based on the semiotic protocol standards, where our whole purpose is about creating succinct social symbols, succinct symbols for social symbiosis. So I built together with a decentralized web app to get, and using quadratic. This web app is built for quadratic voting. It is coupled with quadratic voting verifiers built using zero knowledge proofs. And it uses a specific approach to zero knowledge proof to prevent bribery. This is called minimal anti-collusion infrastructure. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for creating such a great initiative for climate change control and consensus.